I think probably the second big thing that people really want to know about, probably the biggest thing really, is combat. So how that works, there was what people saw before, and so we have a little bit more to talk about, a little bit more, keeping in mind evolution. But I'm excited, so I can't help it. So let us. Yeah,
So
this
hopefully
is
this one as well.
Hmm?
Hopefully we can get the sound on this one. You might have to turn it all the way up.
Let's try that.
There is sound. It's just really quiet.
Okay. So are we ready to watch for, as I drop all my notes in the floor. Panic. Okay. So did you want to talk about this one?
Yep. So straight away, what we can see here, we can see a few things. On the left-hand side there, we've got the party. So this is where you're in a group with your friends. We've got Kyle and Radu, who just kind of appear at the bottom left, and at the very top you've got the 360-degree compass. So the blue marks are where your allies are relative to you. So provided you're in fairly close proximity, you should be able to see them and generally know where they are, but you'll notice that there's no like name tags unless you kind of get really close to them. Part of the design that they have is not having name tags, at least in the current iteration that we've got. So and then we can see here we're picking up an identification band. So this Ecolab that we're going into, this is ecological desert testing station number 2. It's kind of in the very starting zone. It's one of our first introductions to how ecolabs work. So on the other side of the wall that we're going to go around to, there's a what's it called? The door, the Pentashield door. That's the one, which needs the orange identification band to go through. You'll see towards later on there are other colours identification band. It's a kind of straightforward key and door mechanism.
Yep. And, so we gotta pick it up. You can loot the guy. There's your friends. I do love the, hold on, I've got the volume cranked up. Give me 1 second. It's very quiet. Let me see what I can do. No. Got that cranked to 100. Try that.
Welcome to Desert Botanical
Can you hear it?
Testing Station number 2. I am the station supervisor, Dr. Rommel Greer. The ultimate mission of these stations is to find or engineer botanical species capable of thriving in the extremely arid conditions of Arrakis. A true challenge, as I'm sure any visitor who has traveled through the barren rocks and sand will agree. Our first task is the installation of the best
Did you played Mentat, right?
So yeah, we're going to be watching. I think it's just a few more seconds, and then I'm going to jump in.
I'm in the right spot here.
Waiting for him to use that ability. There it is.
Is that what you wanted to see? A little more?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to, let's pause it now.
Okay.
So I'll let you try to work on the possible sound changes, and then
Okay.
while I'm quickly talking about the little bits that we've seen there. So the character that we're watching here is playing a Mentat build. So far we've seen them use 2 abilities and 1 technique. So the 2 abilities that we've seen were the shield barrier, or the penta shield barrier, which kind of comes up with a waist high barrier that you can crouch behind, which is really good for if you're just kind of pulling up quick cover. Admittedly, they're not using it particularly well here, but they've only had a few hours of gameplay time. That does become quite a lot more into the general flow of combat later. But we've also seen them actively use that poison gas capsule. So that shoots out poison gas capsule, huge cloud of poison, which yes can affect you. I have, I found it quite powerful overall as an ability, especially when it kills you, which is not very fun. I have messed up quite a few times in this very Ecolab as we've gone through myself. So the other thing that we got to know, if you take it back just a couple of seconds, so every class has active abilities which appear at these 3 positions here that they can use as like actions, but they also have passive techniques. I think your head's just in the way of it, Meg.
Yeah, I'm trying to get.
I think they can just about see it there.
Yeah, these.
So just to the right, I think it's just hiding behind your portrait. We might have to move around so they can see what that comes up with. But that is exposed weakness. So as a Mentat, you're a human computer. You're calculating on the battlefield what is the most effective way to kill an enemy. As you've engaged them in combat, you've popped up this technique, and it's given you a weak spot on them. You'll see in future, one of the future videos as we play them here, that there's a bright white spot that kind of shines on them. Hitting that gives extra damage. So, yeah. So this is kind of the Mentat build in the early game.
Every time I come in here, I get kind of stuck on just how they've done the environmental storytelling and the prop placement, and it feels so immersive every time we go down into the lab. I mean, we've run this one a lot, and a lot of hours that we've played, and I'm always in awe of how good it looks. So I'm just excited.
Like how deservers comment there, it's going to be known as a fart grenade.
Yeah.
All right, so just going to keep watching them as they go through. That's a lot of darts that they've got.
He does have a ridiculous amount of darts, but better safe than sorry.
Coming incredibly well equipped. Another thing to note there, there's the white exploit weakness, and they've taken headshot damage, hence it going bright red crosshair when they attack. And when they kill an enemy, it has a red skull, just to say that they're down.
Yeah.
Probably at this point should have changed to a melee weapon.
Yeah, but yeah, you can see the white dot there for the exposed weakness on
His ally.
So, okay, almost.
Almost.
So, loot room, common loot types that we just saw. Um, very popular rooms for obvious reasons. There's the containers that have the darts in it. There's containers that have random stuff in it, like the lockers. There's containers that usually have health kits of some kind in them, which are always handy. I use a lot of them. I'm kind of squishy. But the recording. So back to kind of the lore stuff. They plant these things for us to find that just kind of enhance the story. And I think this lab's got its own little micro story that is creepy as I don't know. It's very creepy.
Yeah, I think Joel has mentioned this in Joel, the creative director of the game, has mentioned it in a few previous interviews. How the Ecolabs, or official name of desert testing stations, each are kind of like Fallout vaults. They have their own individual stories that, as you go through, you can just entirely. Some of them are just entirely optional. But for instance, in this one, you have these little tape recordings that we're going to see another. If you continue to play the video, I'll talk over it. So as you kind of keep going down through, you get little snippets of recordings that people had here, and you've got to kind of piece together what happened. And it's quite gross, but also it's very Dune-y. Like they've really read and know Dune inside and out. Oh, yeah. All of the little, there's some really deep cuts.
Oh yeah.
As we go through this, and it's great.
I love how deep nerds the devs are, and
you can't hide from me, little bird.
More of that amazing environmental storytelling where you just like have to kind of it's the scavengers being in here on top of something else really sets kind of the tone for these old labs have been abandoned, and we saw them in the movies. They were these abandoned places that other kind of layers of population, I guess, for lack of a better thing, have been, and these stories on the stories.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I'll get onto this next little bit here, where I'll let it play out, and then we'll kind of have a bit of a chat with it.
Yep.
Someone on the tape recording is just going ballistic. There we go.
Yeah.
There you go. Back with the identification bands.
Yep.
I'm putting up a shield barrier for no real reason.
Yeah, he kind of zipped right through that one. So
here it is. So just like in the Dune Part 1, they've kind of really mastered the art of these vaults being the same as we see in the movie, where if we continue to play it here, we've just got this secret passageway that opens up into a secret loot room. And I've always loved these in games.
Oh, yeah.
Devs have just kind of put some effort into it. But I find myself just kind of just stopping occasionally. The eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed on the floor there are sand trout just wiggling about on the floor, and they are really creepy when you first see them. You don't notice. Keep a very close eye to the sands at any point in here. Maybe if you go back a little bit, I think you might see a couple.
They're kind of...
Yeah, they move and they squirm.
Yeah. They... I just thought that was a great... I remember coming in here the first time and you just kind of see the floor wiggling, and it's just that is very unsettling. Water's always good, but yeah, there they are.
Oh, yeah. And then we've got the various different types of loot chests. We've got the medium ones here, which have much larger loot, and smaller ones, ammo, kind of ammo crates, as well as first aid kits and lockers. Here we go.
Yep.
So this nice pause, by the way.
Thank you.
So,
I got one right.
We kind of timed this all out perfectly, but as usual. This is a multiplayer game. It's very social. We get the ability to interact with players other than just voice chat and text chat. We also have emotes. So going around clockwise around the wheel here, we've got bow, clap, applaud, kind of beckon, come here, thumbs down, of course, point, which is very menacing, sit down, so you can just have a sit. You've got threaten here, so you do kind of that motion across your neck, and finally thumbs up. And these are all really quite useful if you just kind of want to add a little bit of role play as you want to communicate with people, or if you've not got a microphone and you don't have time to chat.
Also, as international as the game is, sometimes it just being able to communicate, thumbs up is pretty ubiquitous. We all know what that means. So it's just extra ways to get the job done, and it adds a nice bit of nuance. So call my friends, back out.
Always love the lighting in here.
Oh yeah.
It's using Unreal Engine 5.2. It's got some good lumen. We see the soundtrack on the floor there. And here we go, the boss room.
Yep.
As you see, this boss is wearing a shield. That means that most ranged attacks, I've seen some people in the chat talking about projectile-based weapons. You'll notice the weapons that he's picking up are darts. So they're not bullets. Bullets would go too quickly, but even then, most darts can't just go through the shield. He's not. So the boss there isn't taking any damage, but this slow blade can penetrate that shield and get down. It means that they're really tough.
Yeah.
They are struggling to take him down.
Yeah, our little dude here is struggling with parry and not doing so great.
You can see if you go back just a little bit, you can actually see some darts pinging off the shield.
Let's see.
There you go. And you've got the...
Yep, there.
There, yeah. Oh, it's a good pause. So, yeah. Darts won't go through. Mentat, the poor Mentat here is struggling.
He is.
Melee attacks are not his forte, and it's just typical that the boss is focusing on him.
Yeah, he's struggling with the combos and remembering that it's got to be the slow blade that goes to the shield, otherwise you just bounce off. We saw that in the movies, just ping ping ping, but it takes a little practice.
And then you see the debuff icon at the bottom there. So in this area, there's poison.
Yeah.
So our poor little Mentat friend is just taking damage from all over if we continue to play.
Yeah, when we first entered the room, he tossed that grenade at us, and then we're choking on it since. So
There we go. You got a parry system there. Slow blade did manage to penetrate, but didn't quite kill him.
yeah.
He doesn't even need armor on. He's just bare shirt, bare chest, just with a shield. And here we go. This is the down but not out feature. Because on the left hand side you can see that he's got plenty of hydration. He's able to pick himself back up. Although not exactly healthy afterwards.
Yeah,
That's happened to him.
he's still shaking the effects of the poison off. There he goes. He's starting to perk up a little bit. This is loot.
Oh, we've got Joel with us here.
Hey, Joel. Welcome.
gmail.com. So yeah, as Joel said, the bosses are just tougher NPCs. You're not going to be fighting dragons or trying to kill a sandworm.
No.
I mean, you can try.
Yeah. Let's see. Aha. Almost. Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Cool.
There we go.
Okay.
So, one of the things that has come up many times is like blueprints and schematics or whatever it is we're gonna call it. So you grabbed your first one in this lab, the Emperor's Wings. I use the heck out of these. I do. They're like my go-to all the time. And you get them in these rooms, and I'm trying to think. You were going to talk about the levels of equipment here.
So yeah, we've got different loot types as we go through. You might have seen some of the different icons or some different colors in here.
See if we can get a.
Yeah, see if we can get a nice little pause on it. I can just, if you want to open the chest. Okay, stop there.
Yeah.
Close enough. So we've got the first thing there we're picking up is a unique schematic. It's been talked about quite a lot previously, but this is generally where at the end of Ecolabs or other kind of more difficult to reach places, you can get schematics to learn how to craft certain rare items that are uniques. You can generally tell they're uniques because they've got the purple colouring on them. There's a few other different colourings for different loot items. So we've seen there that the blue is mostly what we've seen in the Ecolab, and I'll talk a little bit later when we're looking at the video of the Shipwreck.
Yep.
But kind of keep in mind the blue icons there. And of course, Solari's the currency of the game.
Yep.
He's got 6,000. He's quite a lot.
He's carrying a lot of stuff on him. We've already seen what the worm does. That makes me nervous. I don't carry stuff around on me. That's just an invitation to being consumed, and then the worm takes all. So, I try not to do that. Our mentat's living on the edge. Another identification band, and the reason we need this one to get in, and we're going to need this one to get back out. It's just this one's a loop and takes you out. But there are the pendant shields are color coded. This one's purple. The first one was kind of an orangey yellow color, so you kind of know what you need to get through a door if you get stuck.
Yeah.
So,
for this Ecolab, the devs have done a beautiful quality of life feature, which is have a quick path to get back to the entrance, so you don't have to backtrack all the way through. You pick this up and you just go straight the way through.
The terror of having to rerun something.
Yes. It is always the case that you miss something and you have to go back anyway.
So we got a last little bit of combat here that they've shared with us. This is heading to wreck. I left a little bit of the scenic stuff because we're gonna hold on. Here we are. This is on the way to the wreck, and I love how beautiful this game is. It's just stunning. It's absolutely stunning. And there's your friends. Aha. So we were going to talk a little bit about the environment and some of the resource gathering that you have to do. And we've seen this in some of the other content that they've released, the early steps, things that you're always after. You're always after the nodes, the granite, plant fiber, copper.
You got to play it for one more second. There it is. Yeah. Oh, you did it too much.
I know it's hard to get just the exact.
So yeah, and definitely shout out to Jeff, the world director, who is in our chat on Twitch.
Yep.
Because the world is truly phenomenal. It looks perfect.
It's. This thing is not.
Please hold by for technical issues.
Yeah,
Well, you can see it there on the left. Oh, yeah.
It's about one more time.
One more time. we went in when we were rehearsing. It was in we got a perfect frame that captured a bunch of different resources that we want to highlight. There it is. Okay.
There it is.
So
and the ever needed fuel cells.
Yeah, fuel cells you'll need. You got under there, like you said, the plant fiber, copper ore. At the top of the rock, you've got a granite boulder you can refine, smelt down, and then on the left there, you've got a crashed thopter, which we've seen in other videos. You can take apart for resources because the War of Assassins has been bearing down this world for 8 years now. So there's a lot of scrap, a lot of stuff all over the place, scattered about, and we're going to see one such example.
Thinking about the environment. So right now we are in the shade, so there's no dehydration meter or anything because we know from lore, stay in black shade, don't go out in the sun. I've lived in the UAE where the movies were filmed. It's hot. That sun in the summer, your shadow is like 4 inches long at noon. I mean, the sun is unrelenting. So staying in the shade is really a thing that you kind of have to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you feel it, like.
Oh yeah.
Especially in the earlier game, you are kind of crawling around. You see, there you go. You can see it there, the bar at the top.
Yeah. Let's see what we were going to talk about. Okay. We were going to let that play for a little bit.
Yeah. So if we actually just pause here, I can give a quick introduction to it.
Oh, what a great shot too!
Yeah, it's a really good shot. Just as he's about to dome someone, Jesus. So yeah, this is one of the shipwrecks. Top of my head, it's called the Wreck of the Alcyon. It's in Hagar Basin South, in the kind of starting area. You can see now we've been out in the desert for a little while and we've come across this massive shipwreck. It's clearly been here for a little while. So the devs have done a great job of really telling a story with the environment as they've gone through here. Like we've got sunshades and tarps set up all around here. We've got the tanks that have been brought out of the shipwreck, whether they were someone trying to loot them or someone trying to defend their wrecked ship and its cargo. We've got to work that out. So right now we can see that it's full of scavengers. So let's delve into it and see what we can scavenge ourselves.
That little skull that we talked about. Pop.
Yeah. Yeah, just in typical press person fashion, they're never the best gamers, are they? Game journalists.
No, they kind of. Not my play style. Not my play style. So we were talking a little bit more about the environmental storytelling. I mean, it's we're going to shipwreck that's wedged in the sand and it's kind of cockeyed. So you're walking. Everything is at an angle. Everything's kind of to mush to one side. Everything might be things might be partially covered, and just the attention to detail for the wreck itself. I mean, you saw it's kind of wedged up under the sand, and it's just the detail that every wreck has a story. Every point of interest has something to tell you. How many times have we died to worms?
Nor deny, although I will deny more than I confirm being attacked by Jeff.
I remember my first worm death, but Halcyon first.
Yeah, let's get through the Alcyon. So we've got a little bit here. This is quite interesting. So, do you want to talk about this?
Go ahead.
Okay. So, in some shipwrecks, some of the doors are sealed off. Now you can see a little cutter ray icon at the very top there. that tells you that you can get out your cutter A, which you normally use for mining rocks and taking apart salvage. And when you right click and scan it, press play, it scans and reveals these lines of weakness, or efficiency lines as they're called.
Yep.
So once you cut through those specific lines, it cuts the hinges off the door and it just falls down, usually revealing a loot room like in this case, but sometimes they are necessary.
Yeah.
As we'll see later in the video. And just typical loot goblin fashion, everyone rushes in to get stuff.
One of the things I love about this game is my inner loot goblin is very, very happy with this game, because look, another chest. I mean, what can you do? Oh no, I have to take it. Oh no. One thing that did come up, because we were talking about the loot, in a PvE area, I get the loot, you get the loot, everybody gets the loot. PvP, first come, first serve. Outside of this one wreck, all of the wrecks are PvP. Meg the loot goblin a little bit. So this one's kind of in the starting area. This is how a wreck is. This is what a wreck is. But normally PvP happens in these wrecks, so you have to be very, if you're going in with your friends, friendly fire. No laws, only loot. But yeah, you gotta watch the loot. I know where all the chests. I can't help it. It's a compulsion.
You see loot, you must pick it up.
I must. I've gotten better about tiering my loot, not grabbing all of the stuff. But yeah.
So some of these shipwrecks are definitely like this one. You've got kind of signs of life as you've gone through. Some things are at a weird angle, so it's hard to determine.
One of the things, I don't know if it showed up really well in that room, talking about the environmental storytelling. So it's all wrecked. There's a big old hole in the floor because it's a wreck. And so if you can fall down through the hole and have to come back up. And in the bigger wrecks, that's a little bit of a pain. So
it's a pain in this one.
It kind of is. It can be, because you're like, let's get it done. But the idea, our poor Mentat is thirsty.
Spent too long in the sun.
He spent time in the sun.
All the way down. And the worst thing is, you see the bar on the left-hand side. He's wearing a still suit. So he's been, as you move around in a still suit, it collects water. Just kind of, as it is in Dune lore and in the movies, kind of working out, it collects moisture that is escaping you. And it allows you to drink that again. It's not, not one-to-one. As we know in the lore, only Fremen still suits are really that good to lose a thimble full of water a day. But, the whole point of wearing a still suit is that you can drink from it. It is ever frustrating for me watching this. It's not drinking from it.
I'm not OCD or anything like that, but it does make me twitch a little bit to not have my weapons all have to be loaded. My health has to be full. My water has to be full. Otherwise, I'm not ready to walk out the door.
Yeah.
But yeah, the environmental storytelling, you can fall through holes and wrecks, the rubble, the tilt. Some things will be blocked. The emergency lighting, it's very dark in there. It can be very creepy, and just the work that they did to make the game look and feel immersive.
Well, while we're at this point here, I think it's worth mentioning. If we look at the top right, we have a journey. And I know the content team want us to kind of point this out a little bit extra. So this here is the kind of one part of the tutorial journey.
Yep.
So this one here is the rite of salvage under the wreck of the Alcyon. It wants us to gather a certain amount of resource. So yeah, it's top left. So I didn't say the wrong thing. So when you're kind of coming into the game, whether you're an RPG player, or you've played survival games previously, or you're kind of new to gaming, the original kind of starting journey that you go through really does set things up in a really kind of sensible way to make sure that everybody can get through and kind of really get to grips with the game. Even though when you first land, it can be quite unforgiving. It makes sure that you know all of the ropes, and Hanger Basin South, this starting zone, acts as quite a little microcosm. So you can get a little bit of all the different types of areas of gameplay, of loot, and it teaches you actively how to play. So for those of you who aren't necessarily into survival games, don't panic. It'll get you through there.
It does walk you through everything that you need to know in a general sense without it feeling. It didn't really feel like a huge tutorial to me. It felt like a guide and a journey. So that part I really enjoyed. I mean, I'm an experienced survival game player, but I've talked to people who aren't, and they're here for the IP. And so the jump from an RPG type player or an FPS to survival gaming, there's other dynamics you're not necessarily familiar with, and so it walks you through a guide to keep it from being quite so painful. So yeah, we said the PvP, okay, and watch out for the hole, don't fall in it. He always drops that shield at like it drives me nuts. It's like, dude, drop it 20 seconds ago.
They've only played for a few hours. We've got to
give them some grace. Yeah.
And in kind of classic faction, there's the usual path that you can walk through, which is like the optimized path to get to the end.
Oh yeah.
But if you take the side paths in the little dark corners in the rooms, you'll more often than not find a bit of loot there. So go like locusts over every square inch and loot everything you can. The game's incredibly good for that.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of gaming tropes, see to the left there, that little red barrel. I'm not even going to elaborate. I think everybody knows exactly what a red barrel in a video game means.
We have them.
They will get you when you least expect it. Don't use them for cover.
Yeah, and remembering friendly fire and all that stuff too. So, yeah.
It's friendly fire, but they won't be your friends for much longer.
So I say, check your fire. Yeah.
So we can see the pentashields here again.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a constant there. Okay, I think that's a pretty decent use of the barrier to hide and heal up.
Yeah. So, there we are. So we've talked a little bit about worm mechanics in a general sense, and then kind of went through some combat stuff. One of the questions that got asked, here in a minute, we're going to take some more questions, but one of the questions that did get asked since we were talking about PvP is, does your body disappear on death? Can you go back and loot it? Same vein, if someone kills me, could I go back and get my loot? So your body kind of sort of does disappear on death. You drop in PvE, you drop part of your stuff. You don't drop your equipment. If anything equipped, you get to keep. But you'll drop some of your stuff there. And it's up to you if you want to run back and fight them for it. If a worm gets you, it's gone. They ate it. It's gone. You're just going to have to regrind. So this guy running around with all of his stuff on him makes me twitch, because I'm just like, that's a lot of money to lose.
Yeah, you drop all of your spice, all of your Solaris, so your money, and a portion of all of the resources. You do not drop your gear, you do not drop your weapons, but you do also drop your schematics as well.
Yeah. Things of value.
Yeah, the things of value stuff. Now, in a PvE zone, only you can pick up your corpse stuff again. It's like a little backpack on the floor. Yeah, all of your monies. But in a PvP zone, anybody can pick that up.
Yeah.